On a distant planet named Xylon, bright stars twinkled in the night sky. The air was filled with the sweet smell of strange flowers. Xylon was known for its tall, shining buildings and colorful lights. The aliens who lived there were advanced and smart. They had made incredible machines and could solve complex problems. But among them, there was a girl named Zephra who felt something was missing. She was curious and loved to explore. Little did she know that her life was about to change forever. One evening, while Zephra was working in her lab, she noticed something strange in the sky. A bright light was falling quickly toward the planet. It looked like a shooting star, but it was too big and moving too fast. Zephra's heart raced with excitement. She decided to find out what it was. She grabbed her communicator and rushed out of her lab, heading toward the bright light. As she got closer, she saw the glowing object crash into the ground with a loud boom. Dust and smoke filled the air. Zephra coughed but quickly ran to the site of the crash. When she arrived, she found a strange metal ship half buried in the ground. It was unlike anything she had seen before. Curiosity sparked in her mind. What could it be? She wondered. Carefully, Zephra approached the wreckage. She saw a door that was slightly open. With a deep breath, she pushed it and stepped inside. The inside was dark and smoky. Then she heard a groan. It was a human, a man who looked rugged and strong. He was sitting on the floor, rubbing his head. His clothes were torn and his face was dirty, but there was something about him that caught her attention. "Are you okay?" Zephra asked, her voice filled with concern. The man looked up, surprised to see an alien girl. I think so," he replied, shaking his head. "Where am I?" "This is Xylon," Zephra answered. "I'm Zephra. Who are you?" "Jack," he said, standing up slowly. "I crashed here. My ship, it didn't make it." Zephra felt a mix of fear and excitement. She had never seen a human before. The aliens on Xylon had stories about humans, but they were mostly tales of primitive beings from distant worlds. She looked at Jack, and something inside her said he was different. He had an energy about him that was hard to ignore. "Can you walk?" Zephra asked. "We should get you out of here before anyone sees you." Jack nodded, still looking a bit dazed. Together, they made their way out of the wrecked ship. Outside, the bright colors of the alien city lit up the night. Jack squinted at the lights, still trying to process everything. "What is this place?" he asked, amazed. "This is my home," Zephra said proudly. "But you need to be careful. The others might not like that you are here." As they walked, Zephra couldn't help but stare at Jack. He was unlike any alien she had ever met. His skin was different, and he had an intensity in his eyes. She felt a strange connection to him, as if they understood each other in a way that transcended words. Suddenly, they heard voices approaching. Zephra's heart raced. "We have to hide," she whispered, pulling Jack behind a nearby tree. They watched as a group of aliens passed by, talking about the crash and how they should investigate it. Once the coast was clear, Zephra led Jack to her lab. It was a small but bright space filled with strange tools and glowing screens. Jack was amazed by everything he saw. "This is incredible," he said, looking around. "Thank you," Zephra replied, feeling proud. "But I have to ask, how did you crash? Your ship must have been advanced." Jack smiled, remembering his old life. "I guess I just wasn't careful enough," he said with a chuckle. "But I'm not from here. I'm just a simple guy trying to get by." Zephra thought about that. Simple? Jack seemed far from it. She felt a spark of hope. Maybe, just maybe, he could help her solve a big problem that had been troubling her. A problem no one on Xylon could figure out. As the night went on, the bond between Zephra and Jack grew stronger. Both of them were curious about each other's worlds. Little did they know, their adventure had only just begun, and it would lead to discoveries that could change everything. The next morning on Xylon was bright and colorful. The sun cast warm rays over the city, making the buildings sparkle. Zephra woke up excited. Today, she planned to show Jack more about her world and teach him some science. She felt a thrill of hope. Maybe Jack could help her solve the big problem she had been facing. After breakfast, Zephra led Jack to her lab. The lab was filled with strange gadgets and floating screens showing data and images of stars. Jack looked around, amazed by all the technology. "Wow, this place is incredible," he exclaimed. Zephra smiled, happy to see Jack so interested. "Thank you. This is where I do my research, but I need your help with something." "What do you need?" Jack asked, curious. There's a problem with my latest project. I'm trying to understand a complex equation about energy. But no one here seems to get it, Zephra admitted, looking a bit frustrated. I think you might see it differently. Jack raised an eyebrow. Why me? I'm just a guy from Earth. I don't know much about advanced science. Zephra shook her head. You might be surprised. Humans have a different way of thinking. Sometimes you can see solutions that we cannot. She pointed to the floating screen, which showed a complex equation filled with symbols and numbers. Look at this. It's about energy flow and gravitational waves. Can you make sense of it? Jack stared at the screen, his mind racing. He had never seen anything like it. It looks really complicated, he said honestly, but let me try. Zephra watched closely as Jack studied the equation. He scratched his head and thought about it. Then he said, Can we break it down? Maybe if we take it step by step, it will be easier. That's a great idea, Zephra said, impressed. Let's start with the basics. They spent hours together in the lab. Zephra explained the different parts of the equation while Jack listened carefully. He asked questions and made connections that Zephra had never considered. He shared simple ideas based on what he knew from Earth, using real-life examples to explain his thoughts. Think of it like a river, Jack said, using his hands to illustrate. The energy is like water flowing. If something blocks the river, it changes how the water moves. We have to find out how to keep it flowing smoothly. Zephra's eyes widened. That makes so much sense. I never thought of it that way. She quickly typed Jack's explanation into her computer. Let's see how that fits into the equation. As they worked together, Zephra began to see the beauty of Jack's simple approach. He wasn't worried about the complicated symbols. Instead, he focused on understanding the core ideas. Jack's practical thinking was refreshing. Zephra felt a warmth in her heart, knowing they were creating something special together. After a long day of learning, Zephra decided to take a break. Let's go outside for a while, she suggested. I want to show you something amazing. Jack agreed, happy to see more of the planet. Zephra led him to a beautiful garden filled with glowing plants and colorful flowers. The air was filled with sweet scents, and the sounds of chirping creatures surrounded them. Jack was in awe. This is incredible! Your planet is like a dream, he said, taking a deep breath. Zephra smiled proudly. Thank you. We have many wonders here, but it's also important to remember that knowledge comes from both our worlds. You bring something unique that we need. As they walked through the garden, Jack felt a connection to Zephra. They talked and laughed, sharing stories about their lives. Jack spoke of his simple life on Earth, filled with nature and adventure. Zephra shared tales of her scientific discoveries and her dreams of changing the world. Together we can make great things happen, Zephra said, looking into Jack's eyes. You have a gift for understanding things in a way I never thought possible. Jack grinned, feeling a sense of pride. And I have a lot to learn from you, too. Your world is so different, but I think we can help each other. As the sun began to set, painting the sky with shades of orange and pink, they realized this was only the beginning of their journey together. With each passing day, they would uncover new knowledge and build a friendship that could change their worlds forever. Little did they know, their bond would soon face challenges that would test their trust and understanding. The following days passed quickly for Zephra and Jack. They worked side by side in the lab, breaking down complex equations and exploring new ideas. Jack's practical approach to science amazed Zephra, and she felt a spark of excitement each time they discovered something new together. Their friendship grew deeper, built on shared dreams and laughter. One afternoon, as they were brainstorming over another equation, Zephra noticed something unusual on one of her screens. A signal was coming from a remote area of Xylon, far from the city. It flickered like a star trying to break through the clouds. "Jack, look at this!" she exclaimed, pointing to the screen. Jack leaned closer, his brow furrowed in concentration. "What is it?" "It's a signal. It's coming from the ancient ruins outside the city." "I've never seen anything like this before," Zephra said, her voice filled with excitement. "We need to check it out." Jack felt a rush of adrenaline. "Let's go! This could be an important discovery." They quickly gathered their equipment and headed out. The journey took them through colorful fields and vibrant forests, with flowers blooming in every direction. As they approached the ruins, the atmosphere changed. The air felt different, filled with energy and mystery. Towering stone structures stood tall, covered in strange symbols and patterns. The ruins whispered secrets of the past. Wow, this place is amazing, Jack said, looking around in awe. What do you think these symbols mean? I've studied them a little, Zephra replied, her eyes shining with excitement. They tell the story of an ancient civilization that once thrived here. They were advanced, much like us, but they disappeared for unknown reasons. Jack's curiosity piqued. What if they left behind some technology? Maybe we can find it here. Together they began to explore the ruins. They climbed over crumbling walls and carefully moved through narrow passageways. As they ventured deeper, the air grew cooler and the light dimmed. Suddenly, they reached a large chamber filled with strange machines and artifacts. It looked like a museum of ancient wonders. Zephra gasped. This is incredible! Look at all this technology! Jack examined a nearby device, a large circular object with glowing lines running across its surface. What do you think this does? He asked, touching it gently. I'm not sure, Zephra replied, her eyes wide. It looks like it could be a power source, but I need to analyze it further. As Zephra worked on her tablet, Jack wandered around the chamber. He noticed a wall covered in more symbols and a large mural depicting ancient beings working with energy. Suddenly, an idea sparked in his mind. Zephra! What if these symbols relate to the energy equation we've been working on? Zephira's head snapped up, her heart racing. That's a brilliant idea! If we can decode the symbols, we might uncover the secret to harnessing this ancient technology. Excited, they both focused on the wall. They took notes and compared the symbols to their equations. Hours passed as they worked diligently, piecing together the puzzle. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, they made a breakthrough. I think I've got it! Zephra exclaimed. This symbol here corresponds to energy flow, and this one connects to the gravitational wave we studied. Jack grinned. If we can replicate this technology, we could use it to solve the energy crisis in Xylon. Suddenly, a loud rumble shook the chamber. Zephra and Jack exchanged worried glances. What was that? Jack asked, his heart racing. I don't know, but we should get out of here, Zephra replied, feeling a rush of fear. They hurried toward the exit, but before they could reach it, the ground trembled again, and dust began to fall from the ceiling. They needed to move fast. Zephra grabbed Jack's arm, and they sprinted through the ruins. As they ran, Jack glanced back and saw a piece of the ceiling collapse behind them. We have to hurry, he shouted. Finally, they burst through the entrance and into the fresh air. They stumbled into the open space, panting and wide-eyed. The sun was setting, painting the sky with deep shades of orange and purple. We made it! Jack breathed, relief flooding over him. Zephra looked back at the ruins, her heart racing. That was close, but we found something amazing. Jack nodded, his mind racing with possibilities. We need to come back and study those machines. This could change everything for both our worlds. As they stood together, the sunset casting a warm glow around them, they realized that their discovery was just the beginning. Together, they would unravel the secrets of the past, but they also had to be careful. There were dangers lurking in the unknown, and their journey was only just starting. The next day, the excitement of their discovery filled the air as Zephra and Jack planned their return to the ancient ruins. They had shared their findings with Zephra's colleagues at the research center, but not everyone was thrilled. Some were skeptical of a human's ability to understand their technology. Zephra felt a wave of frustration. As they gathered their equipment, Zephra noticed her friend Lyra watching them from a distance. Lyra had always been wary of humans, and her expression now was one of suspicion. Zephra, are you sure it's wise to trust him? Lyra asked, crossing her arms. Jack has unique insights, Zephra replied, standing tall. He helped me understand the ancient technology in a way I couldn't. We need him. Lyra frowned. But he's just a human. What if he takes this knowledge and uses it against us? Before Zephra could respond, Jack approached, sensing the tension. I'm not here to harm anyone, he said, his voice steady. I want to help. Lyra looked at Jack, her eyes narrowed. You may not mean harm, but we can't trust you. Our history is filled with betrayal, and we have to protect our knowledge. Zephra felt caught in the middle. Lyra, I understand your concerns, but Jack is different. He cares about our planet and wants to learn. Lyra shook her head. I won't let you put our future in danger. With that, she turned and stormed away, leaving Zephra and Jack feeling uneasy. Do you think she'll tell others? Jack asked, worry creeping into his voice. I hope not, Zephra replied, feeling a knot in her stomach. But I can't control how others feel. We need to be careful. They decided to go ahead with their plan. They traveled back to the ruins, determined to uncover more secrets. However, as they reached the entrance, they were surprised to find a group of researchers waiting for them. Lyra stood at the front, her expression serious. "You shouldn't be here, Zephra," she said, her voice firm. "This is too dangerous. We can't trust him." "Lyra, please," Zephra pleaded. "We're close to a breakthrough. We can't turn back now." One of the researchers, a tall alien with sharp features named Rax, stepped forward. "We have to put a stop to this. If Jack is involved, we risk everything." Jack felt a wave of anger. "I'm not your enemy!" "I came here to help, not to steal anything." Lyra's eyes flashed with defiance. "You don't understand our history. Trust has been broken before. We can't risk it happening again." The tension in the air thickened. Zephra felt her heart racing. "You all have to trust me. I believe Jack can help us unlock the potential of our past." Rax shook his head. "You're blinded by your friendship. We must protect our technology from those who do not understand it." Frustrated, Jack raised his voice. "I'm trying to learn. You don't have to shut me out." The argument escalated, voices raised and emotions boiling over. Zephra stepped between Jack and the researchers, desperate to calm the situation. "Please, this is not helping anyone. We should be working together." Just then, a low rumble echoed through the ruins. The ground shook slightly, and a cloud of dust fell from the ceiling. Everyone froze, their arguments forgotten for a moment. "What was that?" Lyra asked, panic in her eyes. "It's a warning," Zephra said, her voice urgent. "If we don't work together, we could be putting ourselves in danger." Rax looked around, his face serious. "Maybe we need to focus on what's important. If there's a danger in these ruins, we can't let it escalate." The researchers exchanged uncertain glances. Finally, Lyra sighed, her resolve softening. "Okay, let's hear Jack out. But if anything goes wrong, it's on you, Zephra." Jack nodded, feeling a mix of relief and pressure. "I promise, I just want to help." With a shaky truce established, they decided to enter the ruins together. Tension hung in the air as they moved deeper into the dark chamber. Zephra knew that their cooperation was fragile, and one wrong step could break it entirely. But as they ventured forward, she felt a spark of hope. Together, they might uncover not just ancient technology, but also the bonds that could unite them in the face of uncertainty. As Zephra, Jack, and the group of researchers ventured deeper into the ruins, the air felt charged with energy. The ancient technology seemed to hum around them, beckoning them to unlock its secrets. They reached the chamber filled with strange machines, each glowing softly, casting eerie shadows on the walls. Zephra turned to the group, determination in her eyes. "We need to work together to understand how this technology works. Jack, can you start analyzing the power source?" Jack nodded, eager to contribute. He moved towards the largest machine, a circular structure with bright lines swirling around it. As he began to examine it, Zephra translated the symbols on the walls, piecing together the ancient language. Hours passed as they worked tirelessly. The atmosphere grew thick with anticipation, and the tension from earlier slowly faded. Jack's mind raced with ideas, and Zephra's enthusiasm inspired everyone around her. Suddenly, Jack exclaimed, "I think I understand how this machine works. It's a generator that can harness energy from the surroundings." "That's amazing," Zephra said, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "If we can replicate this, we could provide power to our entire planet." Just then, Lyra's face fell as she glanced toward the entrance. "Wait, do you hear that?" Everyone paused, their hearts pounding. From outside the chamber, a low rumble grew louder. A shadow fell across the entrance, and the group exchanged worried glances. "What's happening?" Jack asked, feeling a chill run down his spine. "I think we're not alone," Lyra whispered, her eyes wide with fear. Suddenly, a group of armored aliens stormed into the chamber, their weapons drawn. They were part of a faction known for raiding other civilizations, and they had come for the ancient technology. The leader stepped forward, a tall figure with a menacing glare. "You should not be here! This technology belongs to us now!" Zephra's heart raced. "We won't let you take it!" she shouted, standing in front of Jack. The leader laughed, a cruel sound that echoed through the chamber. "You think you can protect it? Hand it over, or face the consequences." Jack felt a surge of anger and determination. "We're not afraid of you. This technology can help both our worlds, not just yours." The leader sneered. "You're foolish, human. You have no idea what you're dealing with." He raised his weapon, ready to strike. In that moment, Zephra remembered the energy readings they had gathered. Jack, can we activate the generator? It might give us a chance. Jack nodded, his mind racing. Yes, if we can channel enough energy, we could create a protective barrier. As they worked together, the rest of the researchers quickly followed their lead. Zephra translated the symbols as Jack adjusted the settings on the machine. The energy surged, and a bright light filled the chamber, pushing back the invading aliens. The leader shouted, "What are you doing? You cannot control that power!" But Zephra and Jack were focused, their hands moving in sync. The machine roared to life, energy crackling around them. A protective barrier formed, shimmering like glass. "Now!" Zephra yelled. "We have to push them back!" With a surge of determination, they directed the energy toward the intruders. The barrier expanded, pushing the aliens out of the chamber. They stumbled back, shouting in anger and frustration. "This isn't over!" The leader bellowed as they retreated, disappearing into the shadows of the ruins. Breathless, Zephra and Jack turned to the others. "Did we do it?" Jack asked, his heart racing. Lyra's eyes widened with disbelief. "We actually pushed them back! You did it!" Zephra felt a rush of pride. This was a team effort. We worked together and it paid off. As the dust settled, the group took a moment to catch their breath. The chamber was safe, at least for now, but they knew the danger wasn't over. "We need to find a way to protect this technology and share it with everyone," Zephra said, determination in her voice. Jack nodded, a smile on his face. "Together we can make a difference." The researchers exchanged glances, the tension between them easing. They had faced a challenge together and emerged stronger. With newfound resolve, they began discussing plans for the future. The ancient technology was theirs to protect, and they would ensure it served the best interests of both their worlds. As they worked side by side, they realized that despite their differences, they had forged a bond that would carry them through whatever challenges lay ahead. Together, they were ready to face the unknown, united by a shared purpose.